So as a lot of you may already know about Forex, price has three ways of moving: up, down, or sideways. When it is moving up, that can be termed as an upward or a bullish trend. When it's moving down, that can be considered a downward or a bearish trend. But how exactly are we supposed to know when price is actually in a trending market? Well, if you'd like some tips on how to identify the trend in the Forex market, then keep watching. What's up guys, Candice B here. Thank you for coming to my channel. Welcome back to my subscribers and welcome to my new ones. So in today's video, I'm just going to briefly discuss how to find a trend in the Forex market. Now, this is a very basic type of video, and that is exactly my intent. So for those of you who are like, Candice, this is so obvious. I know, but I hope that this may help out someone who's just starting out and is doing their due diligence and they're researching about Forex. I hope that this can be a tool in their research to help them learn more. Because of course, it is ideal to trade a trending market. That's when, you'll see a lot of familiar patterns and movements, and visually it just gives you a higher edge to capitalize on these movements when you're simply focusing on the trend that price is in. But either way, this video is not going to be really about actually trading the trend or entering a trade that's in a trend. It's just going to be about how to identify the trend itself. And as a disclaimer, these are my opinions and points of view from my personal education and knowledge, so I'm just showing you how I personally identify the trend. I'm sure there are many ways to do this, of course, so to each their own, but this is just my personal way. I don't know if you guys have heard of the saying that the trend is your friend until it ends, but that's a saying that I kind of always keep in the back of my mind to remind me, to focus on trading the trend. So let's get into some tips for this. So as you can see today, we're going to be looking at gold. The first tip that I'll share with you is that you want to look at a higher time frame when first identifying a trend in Forex. So in my opinion, the higher the time frame, the stronger and the more likely the trend will be what it is. So looking at gold, let's go on the monthly and let's look at more recent price action, from 2018 till now. So right away, it is visually clear that price is going up. If you just see right here from 2018 till now, price is going up. So knowing that this is the highest time frame to analyze, you can make the hypothesis that for the time being, that the trend is definitely up. I personally like to look at recent price action as opposed to, looking back in 2011, 2010, because obviously a lot of things have happened since then. So you want to look at more recent price action because it's more accurate to the times that we're in right now. So yes, you can see a lot of these bullish upward candles moving up. You can see that price has desire to push up, and it has really had this desire since essentially September 2018. It's had this desire to continue pushing up. And even when you go down to, let's say, the weekly, you can still also get a better visual with a bit more detail that, again, price just wants to move up at this point, and that's what it's been doing. As we go down through the time frames, you can see if there is confluence with the initial hypothesis that this is an upward trend. So this leads me to my second tip, which is to identify the highs and lows of the trend. So if we look to draw a trend line, it'll give us a better visual, but we first want to identify and see, is price creating these higher highs and higher lows, because that is the criteria for an upward trend. Price is creating higher highs and higher lows, essentially these kind of steps. And if I were to draw it out, this would be kind of what we're looking for, something like this. So even right away, if we're just looking at what price is doing, it kind of looks similar, where it's just like there's a low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, etc. And it's just kind of making this stepping stone to go up. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what we can actually see right away. So I'm just going to draw a trend line just to help visually see. I feel like with a trend line as well, it helps to kind of see, what points price is at, because if we zoom in, we see that price had started this low, it came up, it came back down, created its first higher low, and then when it went up, it created its first higher high, came down, higher low, pushed all the way up, higher high, higher low, higher high. So right now it's pushed up quite a bit. So at this point it looks like it's in a corrective phase, just waiting to see what price will do. You know, it can do many things. One thing to keep in mind is, of course, with a trend, with anything in Forex, you'll never see that perfect, you know, what I just drew out, that perfect kind of visual of price just moving perfectly. So in this case, you know, even though it kind of moved very structured, very nicely here, now it's at a point where, okay, it's come down already, and it has definitely made a higher low, and it can either, you know, use this as its higher low, which means that it's going to continue going up to make another higher high, which if I move this out the way, it's going to continue, you know, making this higher high, or it could have made its higher high and just kind of playing around right now. It could just be, you know, consolidating. You have to keep in mind that this is the end of the year, this is the third quarter of the year, so price can be slowing down, and it can be, you know, just moving sideways, and it could just want to come down. It could get a, you know, really bearish push back down to this trend line, and this would still be considered a higher low, because what you're doing is that you're comparing it to the previous low. So this is the previous low. This low, if price were to have to come down here and push all the way back down, it would still be considered a higher low. And then from there, you would know that it's still in a bullish market if it continues up or whatever it does. Or if I kind of go back to my previous point where I was saying, you know, if this is price's higher low already and it's just getting ready to continue pushing up, then you have to be understanding of that. You have to identify that this is what's happening and that it can continue to push up. So just be aware that even in trends, it may not be completely perfect visually, and that's where chart time comes in. That's where it really comes in, where you have to know what you're looking for. You have to be able to understand candlesticks. And drop a like, actually. Leave a comment if you guys want me to maybe make a video of candlesticks. Just what are candlesticks, you know, what they mean, stuff like that. I can definitely make a video about that. But yeah, this really comes down to just knowing candlesticks, understanding what these candlesticks are doing, and how it creates an overall story when put together. So right now, for just the sake of the video, we're assuming it's still going up. So we're still waiting to see. This could be either its higher low, or it could still be waiting to create a higher low, which would mean that it would have to come back down here and tap this zone or the trend to keep going up. Either way, this is the higher high, so we can understand that it has been still making that higher high movement. So this kind of brings me to my third point in terms of knowing when the trend will end. So this is the part of the saying of, you know, the trend is your friend until it ends. So one of the worst feelings in Forex, in my opinion, is assuming that, you know, a trend is going to continue, and, you know, you enter this buy here, let's say, and then all of a sudden price, it comes up for a bit, makes a double top here, and then pushes down, and then it starts to, you know, break and change trend. So that's a bad feeling to have, is, you know, assuming that the trend is going to continue and continue to be your friend, but then it actually is done, it's ending, and it's changing direction into a different trend. So it's very important to know, or to be able to identify, when a trend is finishing. And I guess I'll go back in time just a little bit to see where we kind of see the trend ending and how to identify that. Of course, when we're looking at higher time frames, you know, they're bigger moves, they take longer to play out. So if we're going to go down to the lower time frames and we're going to look at the trends on the lower time frames, we're going to see more immediate things happening quicker. So although my hypothesis is that price is moving in an upward trend overall based on the higher time frames, we're on the daily right now, and I just want to kind of show, just for the purpose of this video, you know, how even looking within a trend, how you can see how it's changing. So let's say I look at the daily and I see, you know, from April 2018 that price had this consolidation, and then it started to trend down. So, you know, we still get where our high, our low, lower high, lower low, lower high, etc. We get that structure. So if we're using that as indication that it is a downward trend, we want to know, okay, when is this trend gonna stop? So as you can see, price moved down, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, all the way until this specific point right here. And I apologize for my drawing. You all know I struggle with this. But yeah, so as you can see, that's what had happened. Price made this huge wick, and now, as you can see, it's going back up. So this huge doji right here had formed on the daily, which basically ended this downward trend. And to really get indication of that, it takes a lot of patience to make sure that a trend is changing, because once you see, let's say this is your first confirmation. So once you see this first confirmation as the doji candle, you want to see, okay, is price going to still push up and then make another lower low, or at this point is it not going to do that? So in this case, of course, price had pushed down, completely exhausted, and closed where it kind of opened. And then it started to consolidate. It started to push up and consolidate around this area. It was not able to come back down to where it had created the bottom of this doji. It was not able to push further down. It completely exhausted. It essentially gave up. And the bulls came into the market and said, okay, this is our time to shine. So a lot of confluences you want to see is, of course, through the exhaustion of the wicks. You want to see as well, once price creates now its first higher high and higher low, to know that it's now in an upward trend. So that's exactly what had happened. Was the exhaustion happened, there was a double bottom, this huge push up, there was still some consolidation, but then this is when you really start to see that price started changing the trend. So it came down, kind of retested this area as a low, pushed up, made its first high in the trend, made a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So you can tell when the trend is done. Essentially, the trend ends when it's not able to push down and create another piece of structure. So in this case, it wasn't able to create another lower low. Instead, it started to create highs, lows, higher highs, higher lows. So you knew that at that point this is done, but to trade this would not be smart. So it does take some chart time and just being able to visually see that now, price does not want to move any further down. People might think that this is creating a lower high, and this huge engulfing candle explains that, and I'm going to take a sell and hold until it breaks down. Well, as you can see, that trade doesn't go your favor, because when October comes, this huge bullish candle comes in and just knocks everything out the park, and then that's when the bulls start to come in. So keep in mind, you want to definitely wait until price shows its hand, it shows what it actually wants to do, before you end up taking a trade in the trend. So you want to make sure that you're continuing with the trend, you're not trading against the trend. I know people do trade against the trend, and that might work for them based on their strategy, but it does take a lot more hard work, I assume. It's just a better rule of thumb to trade the trend. Just keeping things as simple as possible. It just makes sense to trade the trend. But you want to, again, wait until price shows you the trend, shows you what it's doing, and then you just go along with it. You just react. So there you have it, guys. 3 quick tips on how to identify the trend in Forex in order to help you make some profits. I hope that these quick tips helped in some shape or form. Definitely leave a like down below if you liked this video, you liked what I was talking about today, and it helped you in some way. Leave a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed this video as well. And yeah, thank you so much for coming to watch. Of course, subscribe. I appreciate everyone subscribing as usual. I really hope that 2020 brings you guys just, positivity, it brings you goals that you are able to accomplish, it brings you joy and love in every aspect of your life. You know, keep thriving and just keep moving forward. That's the best thing that we can do for ourselves, is every day just keep moving forward in some shape or form. So that being said, thank you guys again so much for watching this video, and I will be back with another one before you know it. Have a great day and have a great start to your new year. Bye!